Live streaming is on.
All right. 10 out of test chain. An indication everyone got it. So Arjun, Nathaniel, play now. Would be nice.
Yeah, I got it.
I got it too, Sean.
Also, before we begin, Arjun, I'm actually a Packers fan. I just wanted you to know.
That's foul. That's foul.
Yeah.
I'm a
That's
D-Hops
foul.
fan. Just wanted you to know if that helps at all with your decision.
All right, I'll take that. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna run and grab some water, then we can start.
How are you, Brady?
Pretty good, David. How are you?
I'm good. Can't complain. What about you, Satvik?
My day was made better hearing your voice.
Aww.
I'm gonna grab a charger. I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
All right, I'm back. David, are you good?
Plano's good to start whenever y'all are straight.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Give me 1 second to get my timer. All right. Is anybody not ready? All right. We negate the resolution. Contention 1 is currency wars. Regulation is perceived as a precursor to the Federal Reserve manipulating crypto values and thus having unprecedented control over the global economy, sparking international backlash. Ratna 21 writes, fearing regulatory developments that push crypto to the Federal Reserve, countries would retaliate, issuing their own cryptocurrencies, creating intense geopolitical currency wars. Picardo 21 furthers that currency wars entail competitive devaluation, causing greater protectionism, volatility, and inflation, leading Ricards 11 to write that currency wars degenerate into sequential bouts of recession and violence as the scramble for resources leads to war. And Raffalini 19 concludes, a digital war reserve currencies can cause a new Great Depression. Unfortunately, Blanchard 13 writes 900 million people are vulnerable to being pushed into poverty in the face of economic shocks. Contention 2 is botched policy. Palumbo 21 writes that government regulators lack the knowledge to dictate rules on cryptocurrency given the technology's complexity and newness. Empiric proof, as Palumbo furthers, that Congress' last attempt to regulate would have trapped many entities who are by no means targeted in any traditional sense. Broad regulations threaten to ensnare blockchain and decentralized technology that crypto is based on. As Milano 18 concludes that Congress's overzealous regulations could stifle the transformative potential of blockchain. This would be catastrophic, as Sharma 21 reports 40% of the blockchain industries in the US alone, and ASM 20 furthers that blockchain can help epidemiologists share data across borders, accumulating global knowledge in a single hub to research future pandemics. This is critical due to rapid population growth. CNN 20 writes that future pandemics will be more frequent, deadly, and will spread more rapidly, leading Dillian 17 conclude that pandemics are an existential threat. Contention 3 is overregulation. Affirming expands U.S. regulations abroad. Finding 21 it finds that American regulators bring by far the most enforcement actions involving cryptocurrency, so they serve as a global cop with spillover effects on activity in other jurisdictions. Unfortunately, Goforth 21 furthers that application of U.S. law in other nations create overregulation, as other countries have their own regulatory regime, and adding U.S. rules on top of that could be costly, impeding the flow of crypto capital. Empirically, Goforth furthers that in 2019, the SEC initiated a complaint against a new crypto asset, halting sales worldwide. Global adoption is key, as Vigna 15 writes that 5 billion people are cut off from a financial system, but crypto can bring these people into the 21st century, leading Armstrong 15 to conclude that digital cryptocurrency could lift countries out of poverty and improve the lives of billions. Contention 4 is lifeline. Subpoint A is remittances. Bear 21 explains that cryptocurrencies will be a dominant method to send remittances, with 45% of customers using crypto to transfer money because they significantly reduce costs. Thus, Pimmons 21 writes, U.S. crypto remittances are a lifeline for developing economies. Unfortunately, regulation would harm crypto remittances in two ways. First, Sing 15 finds that regulations would harm remittance users more than anyone else because compliance increases transaction costs, meaning users will stop sending money, and when they do, they send much less. Second, Jahani 21 finds if we regulate crypto at home, we turn our backs on millions across the world, as regulations would delay remittances as users are now forced to jump through hoops. This would be devastating because in conflict-ridden countries like Afghanistan, for example, recipients can't wait 3 to 5 days for remittances. They need them immediately as they are suffering the consequences of the war. UN 17 concludes that remittances help lift millions out of poverty as they are able to afford necessities. Subpoint B is NGOs. NGOs are turning to cryptocurrency. Hamaker 19 writes, cryptocurrencies are quickly gaining ground as a way of donating funds. The number of organizations that accept crypto donations has increased by 100%. Unfortunately, affirming frightens NGOs, forcing a shift away from crypto. Coffee 21 writes, as domestic regulators regulate virtual currency, charities are concerned that the shift could devalue or freeze their holdings, risking the organization's entire portfolio. Avoiding this is critical, as Torrance 21 finds blockchain technology is the solution to high levels of mistrust faced by NGOs. By creating transparency, this is critical to fundraising efforts, as Wu 20 writes that U.S. nonprofits collected $410 billion in donations alone last year. Nonprofits that were transparent with their data received over 50% more donations than their counterparts. This has global implications, as Beckett 17 writes, just $50 million can successfully expand opportunity for more than 5 million people in poverty. Thus, Hassian 01 concludes that the most effective way to help the 1.2 billion people who live in poverty is by promoting NGOs. For all these reasons, we negate.
Can I see some evidence?
Yeah, what's up?
Can I see Blanchard on C1?
Okay.
Can I see
that it?
Colombo on C2?
Okay.
Can I see Goforth talking about them regulating a new crypto asset on your C3 about overregulation?
Okay. Yeah, just give me 1 second.
I can put the rest in the chat if that's easier.
We can all stay on mute until then.
Is Blanchard 900 million? Because I
Yeah.
want to see that.
Yeah,
If it's,
but-
okay, if it's the same thing, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be good.
Can I also see Armstrong, please? Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Can y'all write out a list?
Oh yeah, which ones do you need me to write out?
Right, so
It's
it's
like 12.
Colombo, Blanchard, Goforth, and Armstrong, right?
And the NGOs one about trust and donation.
Well, you just want the empiric for Goforth, right?
Yeah, the one about regulating a new crypto asset.
Okay. Okay. I just sent everything. Let me know if you are looking for anything else.
Yeah, for sure.
Also want the trust thing. I didn't realize. Let me send
I didn't
that.
send that yet. Or no?
Yeah, hold on. Okay. I just sent the Torrance evidence.
All right. Once I get everything ready, you can start case.
All right, Celtic, am I good?
Yeah.
All right. Are all three of my datas ready? Can I get some indication from all three? Okay. Nathaniel, cool. Just for clarification's sake, this is Brady Zhang speaking first for Plano West. We are second on the AF. All right. If everyone's good, I can begin. Plano affirms with one observation: politicians have every incentive to pass regulation that reinforces the U.S.'s foothold in crypto. As Dewey just a week ago finds, that policymakers have praised the tech as an important part of the U.S.'s future and the need for the U.S. to maintain a leading role in its development. Agencies acknowledge overregulating and caution against passing legislation that will drive investment overseas. With that, conundrum one is bursting bubbles. Since they are largely driven by speculative investors, 1921 explains that cryptocurrencies resemble a bubble which occurs when the price of something is way above its fundamental value. We can't determine the fundamental value of cryptocurrencies, and yet their price have run up dramatically. Petro 21 finds that a crypto Wild West may be an adventure, but it's bad for low and middle income consumers, small businesses, and a broader financial system on which they rely on the rest of us depend. Thus, Knight 821 quantifies that 1 in 5 industry professionals believe that cryptocurrency could deliver a shock to financial stability over the next 18 months, and with the after effects of COVID-19 still present, millions could fall back into poverty. Fortunately, affirming solves in two ways, and the first is a greater oversight. Tran 21 finds that 1,000 individuals known as whales own 40% of the market. Whales influence or manipulate the market to the disadvantage of other participants. For example, Knight 21 explains that with no cryptocurrency reporting requirements for hedge fund or private equity funds, regulators are in the dark. Rich asset managers, by recklessly playing with huge sums of money, risk spreading calamity throughout the economy. Halim 21 corroborates that an exacerbating factor of both the Great Depression and the Great Recession was that people do not know which banks were failing. Fortunately, increased federal regulation of cryptocurrency could prevent the Lehman crisis. Cohen 21 writes that attempts to regulate these platforms can impose stringent reporting or capital requirements. Second is greater control. MIT 18 underscores that an economy in which crypto was the dominant currency would be a more volatile and harsher economy. The government had limited tools to fight recessions, and financial panics would be hard to stop. McWhinney 21 finds that during economic crises, central banks might increase or decrease the quantity of money circulating in an economy. Much more money in an economy equals more spending, consequently economic growth. Fortunately, increased regulation could give the government the desirable control over decentralized cryptocurrencies. Cohen 21 further regulation could bring crypto exchanges into the banking system. It is easy to imagine federal regulators forcing crypto exchanges into banking system on a larger scale, perhaps banks buying up crypto. Overall, Smithy concludes that regulation can enable risks to be managed in the crypto world as they are managed in the world of traditional finance. Conundrum 2 is innovation. Increased regulation of cryptocurrencies will boost innovation in two ways. First is the unified approach. Bain 21 writes that policymakers struggled for years to come up with a comprehensive approach to oversee digital assets. Kugler 20 reports that piecemeal cryptocurrency regulation will continue to deprive innovators of sufficient guidance. Fortunately, Bain furthers that the goal of the current White House is to take a unified approach to crypto. Second is replacing outdated frameworks. Constantino 21 writes that major crypto companies like Coinbase want a regulatory reboot. Laws drafted in the 30s to facilitate effective oversight of our financial system could not contemplate this current technological revolution. This serves as a barrier to current innovations. Kurlansik finalizes the uncertainty about what the U.S. will do has added to the cloud of regulatory risk that hangs over the industry. The sooner the U.S. takes steps to provide political clarity, the sooner innovation will be able to thrive. The Wall 21 explains that crypto assets are the principal fuel that incentivizes decentralized communities to participate in decentralized blockchains. The first impact is global poverty. Ruiz 20 writes, the radical innovation in entrepreneurship spreads technology that is a prerequisite for the spread of cryptocurrencies, leading Elyashiv 21 to conclude that American innovators are paving the way for widespread crypto adoption. Preventing crypto adoption will be devastating, as Vigna 15 writes that 5 billion people are cut off from a financial system, and crypto could bring these people into the 21st century. The second impact is global warming. Dodge 15 finds that a carbon deposit and redemption system could be built using blockchain as a foundation for Bitcoin. This system pays a deposit for every ton of CO2 created and gets recorded in a carbon coin. Financial systems are created to deal with CO2 in a safe manner. Dodge concludes that this is the lowest cost method for achieving large-scale cuts to CO2 emissions. Dune 20 finds that it is not too late to act now. The benefits of acting now will be massive. Without urgent action, uncontrolled climate change with sea oceans exposed to catastrophic temperature rise, risking extinction. The final impact is asteroid mining. Howell 20 writes that crypto can be applied for space and supply chains during asteroid mining to manage large construction projects and to control energy consumptions. As blockchain moves into outer space, could take tokenized spacecrafts and payloads, which could help open up space programs. Munson finds that mining could start the colonization of planets, where finding water is imperative to grow, and also could be a protective shield from radiation. The agency confirms that asteroids lurking in outer regions of the solar systems are massive enough to trigger mass extinction. Thus, Planet West is proud to affirm.
Can I just see the impact evidence?
Yeah, which ones?
Just all of the climate change and asteroid mining stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Did you call for anything other than the impact evidence? I have all of the climate change and asteroid mining evidence.
As of right now, no.
Okay, cool. I sent it all. Let me know when y'all are ready.
All right, I'll let you know when I get it. Okay. Thank you. I got it.
I'm good for cross, David, whenever you are.
Yeah, I'm good. Let me just get out my timer. All right, can I have the first question?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. On your impacts on C2 for climate change and asteroid mining, are they both reliant on blockchain?
I think so, yeah. It's just blockchain innovation.
Okay.
Can I get a question?
Okay. Wait, if I could quickly.
Yeah,
If
sure.
it's reliant on only blockchain and not cryptocurrency, why haven't they adopted them right now?
Well, the internal link that we read you is that cryptocurrency innovation spurs into blockchain innovation, and it's a direct correlation or causation, I guess. So I guess you can respond to that in rebuttal. Can I take a question?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can me and you see NGOs use of money using blockchain?
Yes.
We can. How do we do that?
Yeah, so the blockchain is a public ledger, so it tracks every transaction.
Like, can you show me how I could do that right now? Just like how I can access if an NGO uses blockchain or not.
I mean, I don't know that much about cryptocurrency. I'm not an investor, but it is a public ledger. So these NGOs could release and give access to the public ledger to the public.
Like the
so it's
problem
not
that
just
I
them
have
releasing
with this question
information.
alludes.
Wait.
Go ahead, David.
Yeah, if I may. It's not just NGOs releasing information anymore. It's them releasing information and a public decentralized source backing up and verifying that information, which creates trust.
Wait, this is just rhetoric that says it's public, right? The problem that I have with this argument that this question was alluding to is that cryptocurrency exchanges are inherently anonymous. So then how is a person like me and you going to be able to track if an NGO is doing crypto transactions or not?
Okay, one, crypto experts could very easily verify. Secondly, is NGOs aren't going to be anonymous. They're going to show
crypto experts are just people who know more about cryptocurrency and like the market trends than me or you. How are they going to be able to verify any more than me or you can? Like they just know a lot about whether or not the price is going to go up or go down, right? It doesn't mean that they suddenly have government information about whether or not this NGO UN is doing this.
If I may, I think you're overcomplicating the blockchain right now. Okay, if you understand how the blockchain works, you're able to see every transaction on that blockchain. So an NGO could say,
Wait,
we made a
it's literally
transaction
anonymous,
at
though.
this point. Wait, if I may finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
An NGO could say we made a transaction at this point in the blockchain, and experts can verify it, creating that trust. But we've been on this for a while. Can I have a
Yeah,
question?
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about your first argument about control, right? So this is talking about post like crypto recession, right? So for you to like link into C2 or your subpoint B about control, a bubble would have to pop first, right?
Yeah, that's the just we read you for like the first 30 seconds of our case.
Okay, that's fine. You have a question.
I guess let's talk about remittances. So like how much do transaction fees go
Yeah.
up whenever like regulations are put in place?
Okay, so right now, crypto remittances have decreased transaction costs tenfold. So I can't give you a specific number about how much they would increase. But when you create things like middlemen with traditional remittances, like what
Wait, that's not really an
traditional
answer. You're
remittances
saying
have,
you're comparing.
they have fee. There are fees and there are taxes that go along with that third party that make it more expensive and increase delays. But that's
Okay,
correct.
that's fair.
Can one piece of evidence that there are outdated regulatory frameworks right now?
Yeah, I got you.
All right.
It's sent.
All right. Email. I'm refreshing. Okay, got it. I will call David and give a thumbs up when it goes through. All right, that was 15 on the call. I'll just be going down their case with an overview at the top. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Just down their case, starting on their observation. All right. On their observation, 1, their evidence is horrible. It's completely rhetorical. Tons of government members don't recognize or believe in crypto payments and thus would pass bad regulations. 2, even if they regulate crypto, even if they recognize crypto as good, we see that tech is so new and complex that they would still make mistakes when regulating. This happens in 2 ways. 1, TPC writes that bills would be rushed and last minute, which would leave legal gaps and loopholes. Sharma 19 explains that, for example, people could just do transactions extranationally and spread across countries, circumventing restrictions. 2, Emory writes that regulation would just force crypto users to create alternative cryptocurrencies that are more decentralized and harder to track. Thus, Emory concludes that a regulation will lead to the emergence of a regulatory whack-a-mole. At worst, it's a reason to presume neg, because there's no reason for you to affirm the resolution. At best, it's a reason for a vote for us, because Stark mentioned create a 2-tier black market for cryptocurrencies, which turns their volatility links because an oblique black market scares investors and increases volatility due to a lack of transparency. On bubbles. At the top, 1, Bitcoin has historically been volatile since its existence, but there have never been any large-scale impacts the apps talked about. Empirically, Feinstein 21 finds that the price impact of several market shocks in Bitcoin had no detectable effects. In fact, Sharma 21 finds that Bitcoin sank to an all-time low when China accelerated a crackdown on cryptocurrency, mirroring what happened when South Korea also made a move to regulate cryptocurrency trading back in 2017, yet there was no massive bubble pop. They read a piece of evidence saying that 1 in 5 say that there's going to be a recession in the next 12 to 18 months. That means 80% or 4 in 5 said there won't be a recession, so the probability is super low. 2, they say we have regulations for oversight, but Ledin 21 writes that 99% of crypto transactions are done through centralized exchanges, which are already regulated by banks and exchanges, so you don't need to vote pro to increase stability. 3rd, volatility is decreasing now. Edstrom from 3 days ago writes that because the price of Bitcoin is increasing with more users, it becomes harder for parties to individualize influence the price of the whole industry. However, affirming harms volatility. As Potts 20 explains, that the bubble isn't bursting in the status quo because institutional investors are changing course to recognize crypto's value, reaffirming public trust. However, Robertson 21 writes that crypto regulation actually pops the bubble because it signals to investors that Bitcoin is unsuitable for long-term investment. On the quickly, some impact defense. As Light 17 explains, that a crypto bull burst wouldn't have that much of an effect on the broader economy because there's no correlation between Bitcoin prices and other assets. On crypto whales, 1. PIMS finds that over 58% of businesses have started to use crypto, meaning the status quo is solving now. 2. Butler 18 writes that whales are literally a myth used for headlines. In reality, crypto ownership is far more spread out and increasing by the month. On fiscal flexibility, 1. Other forms of recession recovery, i.e. fiscal policy, where the government increases spending empirically proven by the coalition, where the government tried to pass stimulus checks to get people to spend in the economy. You don't necessarily need regulatory frameworks. 2. Currency war turns its arguments because if countries lash out to prevent the Fed control of the economy, and then it hurts the overall economy, and they perceive the regulatory control by the government as bad. On innovation. First, Forscott 21 writes, mainstream crypto innovation is already here, and Brown 21 figures that funding for crypto startups has increased 9-fold from the earlier year. Overall, Allison indicates that innovation is at an all-time high, meaning there's no point in risking innovation. They read evidence saying that old regulations are disjointed as a spike, but the CA in 2020 writes that the government's current methodical approach to regulation is sufficient, which is verified by empirics. New regulations would cause nothing but harms, especially given how bad the government is at doing it. Turn their argument first. Boring 17 writes that regulation would impose massive reporting requirements, for example, requiring every single person that uses Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to report exactly who they are selling cryptocurrency to and buying it from. This would massively decrease the appeal of cryptocurrencies and prevent companies and average users alike from using it, decreasing innovation. 2. Levine 21 finds that regulators will favor big companies because they need industry expertise to write rules. Thus, Volpici 21 writes that regulation would throw much of crypto under the bus as smaller actors aren't equipped to meet requirements, leading Levine to conclude smaller companies will never catch up. These are key to global growth. Their own Ruiz evidence, which is their internal link evidence, is that smaller companies are necessary for innovation to thrive. Big cryptocurrencies can sit atop their innovations and not innovate to say that they're like and can make minor increment changes. They're not going to solve climate change or like do asteroid mining. But third, turn the argument again. As Calvin 21 proves, the regulations can make it harder to create new crypto innovations designed to reduce costs. Attempts to regulate would stop their growth altogether, as these are hardly proven successes, and regulation would limit their profit potential. Turn it one more time. As Sanguine 21 explains that crypto legislation prompts brain drain in the industry as entrepreneurs can flee in search of higher profits elsewhere, decreasing innovation. On their impacts, they're super uncontextualized. First, on climate change. Their evidence is from 2015. Culberson 2021 finds that the biggest problem is the price of renewable energy, not necessarily blockchain. If the price of renewables increases, then people will inevitably switch to renewables, and if it doesn't, they won't switch to it. On asteroid mining, their evidence is super speculative. Not a single company has indicated that they would use it for asteroid mining. Plus, there are a bunch of space actors like the Space Force, and asteroid mining is definitely something that's going to occur later down the line. Plus, it costs trillions of dollars. There is no probability to this argument.
Do you have a doc?
For most of it, yeah.
All right, can you send that?
Yeah. Okay. I'm just making sure everything's in it. Yeah. I sent it. There is some stuff not in the doc. If you need clarity, let me know.
Well, everything you read is in the doc, or there was some stuff that...
There was some stuff not in it.
Can you tell me what wasn't in the doc that you read?
I can just tell you.
Yeah, that's cool.
The 1 in 5 indite.
All right.
On C1. And then on C2, all the impact defense.
All right, got it. Then can we see your Culberson evidence on warming?
Renewables.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Is it just Culberson?
Yeah.
Yeah, just Culberson.
Sorry?
No, just the Culberson evidence.
Okay.
Can you also see the TPC evidence? It was the first.
TPC, sure.
Yeah.
David, can you get TPC? I'll assume yes. climate. Let me know when you get it. And David, are you getting TBC or?
Nishan, I still have not gotten it.
1 second.
Here, I'll send it. It's fine, David. Don't worry about it. All right, I sent it.
All right.
Okay, I got bed. So I think you're good.
Wait, you get TPC, Brady?
Yeah, just let me know when you get it, and then we'll start prep.
My thing is refreshing right now, so I probably got it, but just my email hasn't loaded. Okay, I got it. Cool.
Cool. Plan will start prep now. Yeah, can we see innovation is up on C2?
That was 18 seconds used. We're just gonna pause to look at the others.
Okay, which one?
You want the 9-fold increase?
We'll see
Okay.
both, yeah. Actually, is there anything else other than just innovation is high and a 9-fold increase?
No. I mean, there's main. I mean, you can see that whatever's on the thing I sent. Doc.
Yeah, you send all the evidence about innovation being high.
Sure.
Yushan, I can get Brown the 9-fold increase.
Okay. All right, I sent Brown. Let's go faster. Okay.
I sent the Brown evidence.
Sounds good. I got Brown. Nishan, did you send something as well?
Oh, I might have sent. Did I? Is
It like
Brown
clipped
9-fold?
for me, and like I don't know. It didn't. There's nothing in there.
Okay, wait. Yeah, Brown was. Check mine. Should
Your
be there.
email's like blank for me.
I don't. What about Brady? Okay, here. I'll send the other two. I mean, and I can resend Brown if you want.
I got Brown from David. I just didn't get anything from your friend.
Sure. Yeah, I sent it.
Wait, Brady, no, I think it says message, click to view entire message, and then click on that.
Yeah, and then it just gets old cards, like
Here,
Cuthbert's in the rebuttal log. Okay, I got 2 from me, Sean. I think. Yeah. Okay. We'll continue prep starting
1 second, let me mute. All right.
now.
All right, that was 7 extra seconds plus 18 before, so 25 total. Order's gonna be our case, their case. Is everyone good? Perfect. Other judges. Sorry, I can't see y'all. Let me just scroll around. All right, perfect.
You're good, Sophic. You're good.
On the overview, they say it's rhetorical. We give the word that they want innovation, say in the United States, the US will be a global hub. It's not just rhetoric. Then they say there's going to be bills that are rushed, but no, their own Levine Evans read later on indicates they're working with industry experts. For example, Coinbase, which by 88% of crypto companies want increased regulation. Even if the bill is rushed when it's written, it won't be passed. This is not the same thing. They said alternate currencies are going to take place. No alternate currencies will ever become popular. Things like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu will never become popular because there's no trust in these coins. People always prefer using Bitcoin as the largest cryptocurrency. But secondly, people can always have decentralized exchanges right now. There's no offense on this. It's not a turn. With that, their only turn on C1 is that it's going to hurt institutional investors. But no, what Edmondson indicates that historically in the past, greater regulations actually led to an increase in prices because now there's more trust and more confidence in the market. So the prices on net will go up over time, not decrease over time, which even though there was a small crash after China, right now Bitcoin is an all-time high. Cryptocurrencies are reaching a $2 trillion market cap. On innovation, one is that there's an increase in startup, but no, our evidence indicate their evidence just says there's a mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency, not an increase in innovation. You can have money, but also not innovate if you are scared of the regulation that will be imposed. If you pass new innovation, it's not the same thing. This isn't good uniqueness. But secondly, classified argument that 88% of companies want a greater regulation. Then my point is the government's regulation is right now. No, they've conceded our regulation because there's lots of agencies like the SEC, the IRS, and the Treasury all trying to regulate cryptocurrency. There's not a unified approach right now, and it's ineffective. Then my point is there's going to be greater reporting requirements to decrease usage, but no, these anti-money laundering laws, counter-financing terror laws, and know your customer laws all require the same exact reporting, and they are in place right now. So there's no additional compliance costs for these companies. That's why they're pushing for regulation. This also takes out the rest of their terms because all their terms rely on profit going down, which is why they're going to move overseas. So profit doesn't go down, and the regulations are already in place. They won't go overseas. But furthermore, what Edmondson indicates that historically, when there were increased regulation, no companies ever moved overseas. Their argument is ahistorical. The reason why is that they would rather in the United States it costs too much to move operations entirely overseas. Then my point is, exactly. Then my point, then on the climate change argument, all it says that renewables are going to become cheaper. This doesn't respond to our argument. We always talk about Bitcoin mining, but Bitcoin mining only makes up 0.5% of global energy usage. It doesn't solve global needs. At that point, our blockchain technology can solve climate change because the lowest cost way to reduce emissions because it can incentivize carbon deposits. With that, go to my opponent's case. Insofar as we win our Dewey overview, this takes out a lot of their arguments. I'll get more into that later. But at the top of their argument about currency wars. A couple of responses. One, we say it's not unique because all these countries always want to counter the US dollar hegemony, so they'll always be proposing a currency when the US dollar was around, which they didn't do, so the argument has no link. But secondly, there'll be mutual harms to currency devaluation. No countries are going to try to fight the world's largest currency. There's also no impact here. But thirdly, their impact on a recession does not indicate a recession based off of currency wars. It just says they're adverse shocks that can put you in the poverty, doesn't specify an impact off of their link, so there's no impact specificity. On their second argument about bad policy, one, our evidence and their evidence also include that working with industry experts, for example, Coinbase, to make sure the regulation passed is good regulation. But secondly, the head of the SEC, Gary Gensler, literally teaches a blockchain class at MIT. He's very knowledgeable and knows how to regulate cryptocurrency. But thirdly, there are things saying trapped entities from the infrastructure bill, but Congress actually removed these suppositions from the infrastructure bill, so there was no harm to the sector. Then, on my opponent saying it's going to cause more backlash. One, they've considered because there's unclear regulation right now, innovation can't happen because they're scared of being sued by litigation. But then, my opponent says it's going to share data which solves pandemics. One, we say people can share data regardless of there's no impact of pandemics, so you shouldn't go with an argument because, for example, the NSA and the DHS are already doing disease surveillance in the status quo. But secondly, they always have an incentive to collaborate. They always will do so. But thirdly, lockdowns and vaccines always mean that pandemics are not an existential risk and never have been. On the third argument about overregulation, one, we would say we would work with other countries to impose a regulation. Secondly, this regulation is specific to the U.S. federal government, not specific to other countries, so it wouldn't overlap with their countries to do their thing. And thirdly, even if there was actual regulation, it would be all clear into one framework, so there would be no risk of overregulation because everyone knows exactly what they're getting. Also, they lie about their evidence about Telegram, which isn't a digital asset. Going to the argument about our businesses. One, what Buena Vista finds that the cost of sending remittances through traditional means of crypto is the same as things like changes. Also have to pay to transfer remittances to recipients, and these fees get passed on to consumers. But secondly, turn the argument because remittances are unstable right now because the price volatility is super high. So if we can increase long-term value of cryptocurrency, we increase remittances sent back to other countries. But thirdly, PayPal can use friends and family, which is the exact fee that happens instantaneously. There's no need for cryptocurrency. But fifthly, a lot of people spend most of their money on local vendors that don't accept blockchain, so it's not important. There's also no impact on remittances. On NGOs, one, these are part of U.S. companies, so they don't follow the regulation. But secondly, every person can see the transactions on blockchain. They're all anonymous, so there's no impact. But thirdly, they can have their transactions verified by federal agencies as well. There's no reason why blockchain is needed.
Can you send a doc?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you also send me the doc? I'm gonna type my email in there.
Then, does the doc have your front lines?
No.
I got the front lines, David.
Okay, that's fine.
Not speedy.
Okay, I think everything should be. Oh wait, no, never mind. I forgot to send the pandemic responses.
Bro, honestly, just don't worry the pandemic.
Okay, and then also the ones at the top about the currency spillover. There was just one they would collaborate with other countries to make sure it doesn't regulate. Secondly,
Yeah.
All right. And then for the other judge, let me see.
Did you read the Mexico thing on remittances?
I thought no, I thought that out, but yeah, I didn't read that.
Okay. Whenever you send it, let me know. And yeah, then David and I are gonna get on a call to take some prep.
Oh wait, did you not receive it yet?
I got it.
I got it.
Okay. David and I are gonna get on a call. I'll give a thumbs up when it goes through. Nathaniel, did you time how much we used for the rebuttal? I think it was 15, but I'm not sure.
15, yeah.
Okay. All right, that was 53 on the call. Right. Okay. Okay. So, why does blockchain innovation solve climate change?
So our Dodge evidence indicates there could be a publicly transparent deposit system or known as carbon coin, where you get money if you deposit carbon under the ground, and it's the fastest, most low cost way to remove carbon emissions. You mind if I get a question?
Okay, wait. And is that like enough to stop warming?
Yeah, fastest and cheapest way.
Okay.
Okay, so on your arguments, on the argument about NGOs, for example, you tell me that blockchain can solve mistrust. Why can't NGOs just have their transactions like verified by external auditors that can make sure they're being like reliable?
That takes a while, and you can also like pay external auditors. You know.
So can't you pay like these crypto experts that are going to break down the blockchain?
No, because like you can see like the way the like it's a public ledger is the argument.
Wait, so like how could I like find what the UN is doing with their money?
And also for like small NGOs, ones that are like aren't as big, they don't have the money because they're like mostly nonprofit. So they don't have like yeah. Okay. So okay, so I guess on innovation, what is the incentive? Like, what is the incentive you're going for companies to innovate if you vote pro?
Because innovation is what they're founded on. That's what gets the money.
Wait, I understand that, but what does regulation do to?
Oh, they're scared they're going to be sued. For example, like unclear regulation led to the suing of companies like Coinbase. They don't want that to happen, so they don't want to get sued. They're going to innovate if they can't get sued.
Okay, so they won't innovate because they think they can get sued.
There's unclear regulatory frameworks right now, so they're not sure what's going to be met with litigation route and what's not going to be met with the route. And also there's outdated frameworks that limit the amount of innovation they can do.
All right, you can take a question.
All right. So on your arguments about I guess on your arguments, you say that one, that the government is sufficient right now with regulation, but then also say the government is not knowledgeable about regulation, so it's not sufficient. Which one is it?
It's self-regulated. So like the self-regulation that's occurring, that's like naturally occurring without intervention is what's good.
So what does this self-regulation look like?
Like companies not doing reckless policies, like agreeing with each other, like this not allowed. Like for example, pump and dump schemes. It's an example. They've like agreed to not like to prevent those.
So how come like Tether, one of the largest cryptocurrency agencies, has like $2.3 billion of missing money that no one knows where it is?
What company?
Tether.
Okay, well, I have no idea about that. I don't see why it's relevant, but
Well, it proves that like self-regulation doesn't work because bad actors will.
yeah, maybe like in that specific instance. But that also isn't innovation, is it? Right.
No, I know, but then this response also doesn't respond to innovation if it's only about
We
self-regulation.
would argue that the self-regulation is good for innovation specifically, but that's
All
crap.
right.
All right, we'll take more prep. So 5315, 108 used. Okay, that's our prep.
Okay.
And just
The order is going to be
Wait,
Nag.
that's all your,
what?
that's all your question.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. The order is going to be Neg, Wayne, Af. Is everybody ready? Okay. They say they're going to implicate their overview, or their observation, but they never do. And go to remittances. All the warrants are conceded. We tell you that right now, 45% of crypto, 45% of remittances are done through crypto because it's much cheaper and much faster. This is critical as it's helping millions of people around the world, and especially in conflict-ridden places like Afghanistan. They read a couple of responses. A, they're all one line, and B, they all have no warrants. They just say that remittances are unstable right now. No, that's not true. They can see the Edstrom evidence from 3 days ago, which finds that crypto is no longer volatile, but furthermore, 45% are through crypto right now, which shows that people trust the industry. Furthermore, they say that the cost of sending remittances is the same price. No, they concede our evidence, which does the comparative, which finds there's a 10 times decrease in transaction costs because realize there's no middlemen with crypto when there is with other traditional forms of remittances. Furthermore, they say PayPal friends. No, this doesn't work in conflict-ridden places because A, that requires a bank account. B, there's fees on things like PayPal, so it's still comparatively more expensive and worse for the people in these around the world. Secondly, they say that Mexico, one, this isn't carded. Two, this is one example. Our evidence does a comprehensive study of the world and finds that 45% are 45% of remittances are done through crypto worldwide. Finally, they say that they spend most on local vendors. No, this is not true. As crypto is becoming easier and easier to liquidate as the industry becomes more mature. That's why we're seeing millions being pulled out of poverty right now. That also responds to their last response, which is that there's no impact. Yes, there is. We're seeing millions being lifted out of poverty right now. We see it as a lifeline for Afghanistan. That's the Jahani evidence. Let's do the weighing. It's really clear why you're voting for remittances. A is on probability. They don't give you a single warrant in any of their speeches as to why blockchain innovation somehow leads to blockchain adoption in the climate change industry. Even if there's innovation for cryptocurrency, there's no reason as to why they would start using it for climate change. They don't give you that warrant. There's no reason to vote on the argument. Secondly, they can't solve climate change first because realize there's too many economies that are dependent on oil, like the USA, like Russia, like Saudi Arabia, and realize at the point where we're locked into oil, even if you decrease carbon like they're talking about, there's still too many fossil fuels right now. Furthermore, our argument, you prefer it because it's happening right now, and you know you can help millions of people get out of poverty, while theirs, you don't know if you can solve the problem of climate change. But furthermore, we also short-circuit their impact because you need to solve poverty first, because realize poverty is one of the biggest creators of climate change, because realize when people are in poverty, they use things like biofuels, which is on net much worse than other forms of fossil fuels. So you have to vote for solving poverty first. With that being said, let's go into their case. A, remember, they can see the Edstrom evidence, which finds that the industry is not volatile right now. That's why we're seeing investment increase ninefold, and that's why we're seeing innovation right now. There's no reason to vote for the AF. Furthermore, they can see that self-regulation is sufficient. That's another reason why we don't need the unified approach they're talking about. But the biggest piece of evidence they concede is our argument about monopolies. They concede the link. They say that they're working with companies right now to create policy. This is horrible, because our argument is that when you work with these companies, big companies lobby like the pharmaceutical industry for favorable policies. This kills small companies as they're not able to comply. This is horrible for innovation, because their Rui's evidence finds that small business and competition is the only way to create innovation and create global adoption worldwide. Realize if you have these monopolies and you have companies working with these regulations, there's no way you're ever going to see the innovation, as big companies can just rest on their laurels as they don't have to innovate, as there's no competition. No reason to vote for innovation.
All right, we're going to take some prep time, but really quickly, is there any evidence about the biofuels thing?
No. I mean, that was an analytic, unless you want evidence.
Can we see the evidence that 10 times decrease in costs so that because there's no middleman?
Yeah.
What is the evidence that says that small businesses are the only way to innovate? Can we see that?
It's your Ruiz evidence. I'll send it.
Ishan, can you also send the tenfold decrease, or tell me what it is?
I'll send tenfold.
Sure.
Okay. I sent Ruiz, and then I'll send tenfold decrease. Okay, I sent tenfold decrease. Sorry, I forgot to stand.
Right. We got it. We're going to start prep time now.
everyone ready? Nathaniel, how much prep was that? I think it's almost all our prep, but I'm not sure if it's all of it.
About 8 seconds left.
Okay, sounds good. Order will just be half flow, weighing, neg flow. Is everyone good? All 3 judges? Perfect. Yeah. So on my flow, I'll start on responding, like frontlining, and then I'll go to their weighing, and then I'll go to my case. All right. Let's frontline. On the argument that innovation increased 9-fold, they can see that funding does not mean innovation. You can sit on piles of cash, but still not create anything because fears of litigation. This is exactly our argument. On Louise, 1, the small business argument only implicates the global poverty. It terminalizes spreading crypto, which is our poverty impact, not specific climate change. 2, look at the evidence it talks about. It talks about radical innovation and entrepreneurship. They don't give you a warrant why that connects to small business. We say, on the contrary, overall blockchain innovation is better when you affirm. They say self-sufficient regulation, but this is within companies, not about government regulation. So it doesn't matter. It's not specific to government regulation, so it does nothing. It's not topical. Our link outweighs because big companies have more capability and money to innovate and always have profit to do so, which generates revenue, which means even if they have a failed innovation, it doesn't matter because they have like more revenue to fall back on and they have more they have more safety nets. Let's go to their weighing. On their probability weighing, they say we have no link, but this is just like our DeWalt evidence is literally our link will extend it when I go to our case. On too many actors, this is new defense. Don't evaluate it. But 2, we say that blockchain technology would spread globally and allow them to cut down on emissions. Their argument is just fossil fuels, but we say that the only way to actually improve emissions was our conceded dodge of its fines. They have to actually sequester the carbon and deposit the carbon into the ground. The next response is happening right now. This isn't comparative. Climate change is also an issue right now. It's really prevalent. That's why literally every single politician talks about it. And 2, this isn't weighing. They just said it's happening right now. Go to our case. Extend it. Increased regulation of cryptocurrencies would be instrumental in boosting innovation in the sector. Kugler finds that due to piecemeal regulation and the uncertainties surrounding the current system, innovators are fearful of what are and aren't allowed to do. Furthermore, Kurlintic finds a greater clarity to remove this cloud of risk and allow for innovation to prosper. DeWalt finds the greater crypto funding will fuel blockchain innovations with what they concede because they are major investors. Extend the warming impact. Crucially, Dodge finds that blockchain allows for a carbon deposit system, giving companies and consumers a financial incentive to deposit CO2. This is the lowest cost method and the only way to achieve large-scale CO2 cuts. Without action, uncontrolled warming of the planet causes extinction. Let's go to the weighing. Also, respond to their Lincoln. There's no impact on the weekend or warranty on the weekend. We would say that like their argument is just poverty is going to create climate change and biofuels, but it doesn't matter because they can see the only way to solve for climate change is by carbon deposits. So the way you view this round, if you buy climate change, the most important impact round is the only person that can solve for deposits. So we're the only side linked to that. It's already an issue right now. Go to weighing. Climate change is accidental. They consider it causes extinction. Extinction outweighs everything on magnitude and irreversibility because they can't solve the impacts of everyone dead. On time frame, they consider the urgency of the warming means we need to act now or else we go extinct by 2030. This is the only quantified time frame round you vote on this. On Lincoln, climate change destroys resources and crops, starving people in poverty, and also causes resource wars. This outweighs our remittances on a pre-work and scope. It's global because they're being starved instead of having a huge Dogecoins. Even if they have money, it doesn't matter because they can't get food as a pre-work. And also it was in severity because like not having food is a lot worse than not having Dogecoins. Also on currency wars, we would say that everywhere across the actually they don't go for currency wars, it's fine. Go to their case. On their case, local vendors don't accept cryptocurrencies completely conceded the response. This is really important because the only fraud line is just a counter warrant with and the way they resolve the clash is by saying millions are lifted out of poverty right now. Call for the evidence. They say that remittances lift millions out of poverty, not crypto remittances. This is really important because we would say the crypto remittances, even if they do get the money to them, it does nothing for people in poverty who are literally in Afghanistan, like they talk about in the war, which means that none of these people are actually affected whatsoever. Also, they don't extend an impact on the argument. They just say millions lifted out of poverty. You don't know why that matters, why that does anything. At this point, it's a really clean ballot for us. There's so much weighing. We respond to all their weighing, and none of their responses are at all responsive.
All right, ready for grand?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, can I just like clarify the weighing for like the first?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first piece of weighing you did is if you fill in the blank, Brady, it's your.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's extinction. Extinction outweighs on magnitude and reversibility. Can't solve impacts if everyone's dead.
Okay.
You need the rest.
2.
Time frame is urgency of warming means we need to act now, which is you can see the Dune evidence, or else we'll go extinct by 2030.
Okay, and 3.
Next one is a Lincoln destroys resources and crops, starving people in poverty. This outweighs remittances because on prereq scope and severity, it's global and they're being starved instead of not having food Dogecoins. Even if they have money, they can't get food.
Okay. All right, I'm good. You can take a question.
South, you want to go?
On the unmet remittances, so you say that they can easily liquidate the currency. What does that mean in terms of paying like local fruit for like the local vegetable vendor money?
More and more vendors are. We're saying that more and more vendors are willing to accept cryptocurrency. There's an increasing trend of that.
So in war-torn countries like Afghanistan, where people barely have access to like the internet and technology like that, they're accepting crypto.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Can I get a question?
Yeah.
All right. Trick or treat.
Are you gonna give me candy?
I don't know. Just gotta answer the question, man. Trick or treat.
I'll take a treat.
Okay, and Brady, what about you?
I'll go with trick.
Oh, okay. David, would you like to answer the question as well?
Treat.
Okay. Yeah. Brady, you're alone. I want a treat too. All right. I can get a question.
What kind of costume are you wearing, David?
I'm not wearing it right now.
You're wearing
But-
nothing?
No,
Just like not a costume.
no costume at the
No
moment.
costume.
I'm
All
sorry.
right.
I'll send you pictures later.
All right, bet. You're gonna have a question.
Why does climate change cause extinction?
The
Uncontrolled
conceded
melting.
warrant from Dune was that it causes uncontrolled warming and rises of oceans, which will cause extinction by 2030.
Wait, hold on. Have you seen the movie Dune?
No, I haven't. I heard it's good
Is that the
though.
new Marvel one?
Dude, yeah. I was gonna watch it. Never really got through it. Haven't at the time. Excited. That's all I could think about when you read Dune.
I have no more questions, so I'm down to end Grant if y'all are.
There's like 20 seconds left. Yeah. We don't have prep, so I'll go straight into final. It'll be their case first. Okay. If you think climate change outweighs, then the turn is the most important thing on your ballot. Keep in mind, it was not addressed in second rebuttal. It was wholly conceded. All of their responses are new in summary. Their first two responses aren't addressing the logical reason why small pharmaceutical companies are needed for innovation. They've conceded that big crypto companies like the pharmaceutical industry, which gives us precedent and breaks the tie, they would like to sit atop their innovations, have no incentive to innovate because they can make money without being risky. However, they've totally conceded that voting pro would undermine small crypto because small crypto companies, because big cryptocurrencies would just cooperate with the government to avoid legislations that directly harm them, but also harm small cryptocurrencies in the status quo. They have no incentive to do risky innovation like blockchain and climate change, which undermines the only way in which companies can be radical. Even if they have more money per their new warrant, that is an incentive to use the money. We also give you the example of the pharmaceutical industry, which breaks the tie. The turn is pretty much conceded, and it wins us around under their weighing. Let's go to their weighing. We don't think climate change outweighs. They say it's extinction outweighs because it's irreversible. Lots of things link into extinction, and you should evaluate these responses because they read this weighing in the last speech. Lots of things could potentially cause extinction. But extent, the low probability impacts just undermines the point of debate, and we win probability, we control the link, because even if their impact is probable, they don't say their link is probable, and their link into their impact is probable. They say urgency, but our arguments are urgent too, because millions of people are dying in Afghanistan right now, and their argument is also by 2030, meaning that they bottleneck themselves. If they don't solve by 2030, they don't solve their impact at all, meaning we are more probable. Additionally, their urgency weighing does not prove why cryptocurrency and blockchain are uniquely key now to solve for the issue of climate change. Then they say it causes resource wars, but lots of things cause war. We would argue that wars occur regardless and for other reasons, meaning remittances and giving a lifeline for people is most important. At that point, let's go to our case. We explained that 45% of remittances are crypto-based in the status quo. However, if you regulate cryptocurrency, you increase your transaction costs, so people send dramatically less remittances, and there's also increased wait times, so people have less incentive to send remittances. That's important because remittances are a lifeline for people in developing economies, helping millions of people stay out of debt. They say that local vendors don't accept it. They've conceded that an increasing trend of local vendors are accepting, which is why millions of people are being helped right now. That's specifically about cryptocurrency. And two, they say we don't have millions of people in poverty, and we go for the argument of probability. So even if the impact isn't that big, our argument is just a lot more probable. You don't know how the blockchain innovation occurs, when it occurs by, or how they increase innovation enough to solve back for climate change. All this is purely theoretical. Vote on what you know, and that's that millions of people are being saved right now.
We have 8 seconds.
We'll
So
start
we'll
that.
use it all. Yeah. It's how they're starting now.
All right. Is everyone good? Order's going to be the weighing and then the turn. With that, our scope weighing is 100% conceded that climate change is an issue that affects everyone in the world because global warming is on a global scale. This means it destroys crops and resources across the entire world, which is a prerequisite to access using remittances. You can have a lot of money, but if no one is selling you food or vegetables and sea levels have risen to the point where it's not sustainable to live, none of that money matters. This scoping is completely conceded. They have no links into our extinction weighing. Their only response to that probability comes first, but they don't even give a single reason why our argument is unprobable. They just say you don't know when it happens, why it happens, or how it happens, but none of this is an actual substantive response that means our argument is not probable insofar as our link chain is conceded. I guess the same thing to them. You don't know how the remittances get there, why the remittances get there, why they're being spent, or when they're being spent. This isn't weighing. At that point, there's also no reason for probability over extinction. They say don't favor high magnitude arguments, but they don't prove our argument is low probability. There's no reason to vote for my opponents off of this weighing, and our extinction weighing is the least arbitrary and requires the least judge intervention to vote off because it just simply matters of numbers. Even then, vote off our scope weighing. Climate change is happening right now. It is destroying resources, and it is probable. With that, let's go to our case. The only argument they go for is the small businesses argument, but our evidence in that was completely conceded that their argument only implicates, only talks about spreading cryptocurrency, which is not specific to small businesses. Insofar as their evidence isn't about small businesses, it doesn't matter if the turn was not responded to. The turn doesn't turn our case. It just talks about general innovation, which our evidence indicates we can do for sure. Also, we are allowed to weigh our links in summary. Weighing is not a viewer defense. It's just weighing our links. Our link outweighs, or let's extend our link. Increased regulation of cryptocurrency will be instrumental in boosting U.S. innovation in the sector. Kruger finds that due to piecemeal regulation and uncertainty surrounding the current system, innovators are people what they aren't allowed to do. Fortunately, Kulinski finds a greater clarity, remove the cloud of risk, and allow for innovation to prosper. The wall finds a greater crypto funding with fuel blockchain innovation because they're the major investors. This will cause global warming because the crucial dodge finds the blockchain law for a carbon deposit system, giving companies and consumers a financial incentive to deposit CO2. This is the lowest cost method to achieve large-scale CO2 cuts without action, uncontrolled warming of the planet, or causing things by sea levels. They also said we don't have probability because it has to happen by 2030. They don't say why ours doesn't happen by 2030. But more specifically, on the turn, they have considered that our link outweighs because big companies have more capability and money to innovate and always have a profit to do so because it generates revenue. There's no evidence indicating that only small companies are the ones that can do innovation. The pharmaceutical sector thing does not apply to cryptocurrency or why to climate change. It was not implicated to respond to climate change. Just because it happened in one sector does not mean there's no innovation and no intent to do so in this sector.
Great round, Strake. Thanks to all three judges for judging. Great round.
Great round.
That was a blast, Brady and Sadvik.
It was indeed a blast.
Need a clarification. Neg, did you say that the evidence about innovation came from the AVLink chain, or was that a separate thing that you said was required for small businesses?
We said in Final Focus, I said, well, we sent them that, from the AVLink chain, yes. And then we also said we have logical reasons.
Yeah, so could you tell me which piece of evidence you're referring to when you refer to their evidence?
Ruiz. Yeah. Do you want me to resend it in the email chain?
That would be good, yeah.
Can I also have that evidence?
And then I'll email it to the other judge. I replied on the email chain. Okay, I sent it to the other judge. I'm gonna go run and use the restroom.
Math team, could you send the evidence from your first and second impact? Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, this is PF Tab. I just want to make one announcement before the judges disclose. So, congratulations to both teams for making it this far. And basically, the winner of this round will be declared a co-champion since we will not be having a final round. So, congratulations to whoever's won this round, your co-champion. Judges, proceed with your disclosing.
That they know it should be all set.
Just to confirm from Strake, you sent the evidence that's from the PATH link chain about innovation.
Yeah, Ruiz. It was somewhere on the contention. Yeah.
Because when I looked in the email chain, I see this only sent from you, in fact, in the turn.
I guess Plano, Ruiz is in y'all's case, right? Did
you just have?
Yeah, it's also already in the email chain. So,
I think this is before they read the impacts. So they read this before the impacts.
Okay.
no, this is part of our poverty impact. We read it in there. I can send you the case, Frederick, if you need.
That would be helpful because
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think the second message that Brady sent is about this is the content of your poverty impact, and I see Ruiz in here.
Yeah. Right. The rhetoric from a little bit before we read the impacts and the impacts is sent in the chain. Let me know if you need anything else.
All right. Good round, everyone. It was a 2-1 for the con. I ended up squirreling, so I'll just go first. The main place I ended up voting was just on the weighing, and I buy the AF analysis that blockchains can be used to build a carbon deposit system. And I also buy Dune that says that these systems aren't built in time, climate change could lead to mass extinction. And then when it comes to weighing, I buy the severity and magnitude and scope weighing on the affirmative.
Okay. I voted for neg. First, like, I don't think anywhere in my paradigm said that I can handle speed. So like for AF, like even at the end of the day, like I don't really know like how your link chain works specifically, but like regardless, I didn't give like neg its access to remittances also because I buy what you're saying about crypto remittance doesn't impact people in Afghanistan right now, but I ended up voting on the turn just because like it makes logical sense to me, like the warrant about why like okay, like even if big company have money, like there's no incentive to use it because they could just sit on their money. And then also the evidence, which I don't exactly know if it's actually from your case, but regardless, like I still buy, like I just voted neg.
Me too. I mean, I usually don't have an issue with speed, but specifically the second rebuttal and second summary were not only fast, but very, very light on the signposting and, kind of speeding through that. So that made it pretty difficult to flow. However, I also vote on the turn. So the reason I had to call all that evidence was essentially because of the way that these new arguments that are made in the second summary get adjudicated. So the neg's defense of them was, or the neg response to them was to say that these are new responses, which I actually think that they are new responses, but the AF's defense was to say that we are merely weighing our link chain. And so what I had to figure out was your case initially characterized as through the link of large businesses specifically as the ones who are doing innovation? And I call the evidence. I don't see anything about that. And I actually had to call the evidence because also I didn't really fully flow the AF case because, again, it was going pretty quickly. But the main point of that is the recharacterization of your link chain, therefore, in the second summary, to say that it's now that's big businesses, even if I buy what the neg says, are more effective, then that becomes a new argument. It's to say it's a turn to what their turn is. It's saying that their turn is actually good for us. It's good if small businesses are pushed out because big businesses do this, which is not a characterization of a link chain that was already existent, but just a completely new argument that you've made that is now responding to the thing that the neg said in the rebuttal and then was not responded to in your rebuttal. And so that's why I don't evaluate it. I think this was dropped in the second rebuttal, and this is not weighing. It's just a response that becomes kind of offensive, but really isn't anything more because it's still contingent on a new claim that's being made, not a characterization of an older claim that you had already made. Because your case was originally about business in general, they specified small businesses, and now you responded newly to say, actually, that's a good thing. So kind of the same thing as a turn. And so I evaluate that the neg is winning this turn. And then on the weighing, I don't think it matters anymore because I think, sure, it excludes what the neg's case was talking about, but the neg has already won a much stronger link in. Not only do I believe it counters what the AS presumption was, which was that businesses will innovate. They explain why they won't happen. They give empirics to support that. And I don't think that the AF has even responded, let alone shown why their case could still stand, even if they could prove that like the businesses were doing other stuff. So essentially, I just think that the neg is winning a better link into the AF's wing. And so their focus on that was kind of irrelevant when we get to the final focus. And more of it should have been focused on why your link stands independently of this new characterization of big business. So I agree. I vote neg on the turn. Yep.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. And happy
Yeah,
Halloween.
Have a nice Halloween, everyone.
Yeah.
Congrats on
on
the
the
game. Thank you for
Thank
all
you.
the feedback.